In June 1996, a gruesome tragedy struck a quiet suburban home in Rowlett, Texas. Darlie Routier, a 26-year-old mother, was convicted of murdering her two sons, Devin, 6, and Damon, 5, in a shocking case that captivated national attention. Despite her conviction, Darlie has always maintained her innocence, claiming an intruder broke into her home and committed the heinous acts. The case has become one of the most controversial in modern U.S. criminal history, filled with contradictions, unanswered questions, and theories that continue to divide the public. This is the story of the Darlie Routier case, a tale of love, loss, and an enduring battle for justice. It was just past midnight on June 6, 1996, when Darlie Routier frantically called 911. In the recording, she pleaded for help, telling the operator that her home had been broken into and that her children had been stabbed. Her voice is filled with panic as she tried to explain that someone had come into their home and attacked them. When police arrived, they found a blood-soaked crime scene. Devin and Damon had both been brutally stabbed in their sleep on the family's downstairs couch. Darlie, too, had sustained injuries, including a slash wound to her neck that narrowly missed her carotid artery. Her husband, Darren Routier, and their infant son, Drake, were asleep upstairs and unharmed. From the very beginning, the investigation centered on Darlie. Police found her demeanor suspicious, and within days, their focus shifted from searching for an intruder to building a case against the mother. Despite her injuries, the police believed Darlie had staged the scene to cover up her crime. The prosecution's case against Darlie Routier was built largely on circumstantial evidence. They argued that Darlie had killed her children in a fit of rage, possibly fueled by financial strain and stress in her marriage. At the time, the Routier family was facing financial difficulties, and there were rumors that Darren's business was struggling. One of the prosecution's key pieces of evidence was a series of bloodstains found on Darlie's nightshirt. They claimed that these stains were consistent with her stabbing her sons at close range. Additionally, a bloody sock belonging to one of the boys was found about 75 yards from the Routier home, and prosecutors argued that Darlie planted it to bolster her intruder story. Another moment that played a significant role in the public's perception of Darlie occurred just days after the murders, during a graveside birthday party for Devin. Local news footage showed Darlie smiling, laughing, and spraying silly string on her son's grave, a scene that many found shocking and inappropriate for a grieving mother. The prosecution used this video to paint Darlie as cold and unremorseful. Darlie's defense team argued that the evidence against her was purely circumstantial and that it ignored critical aspects of her story. They pointed out that she had no history of violence or mental illness, and that the idea of a mother stabbing her children to death without any clear motive was hard to believe. The defense also emphasized Darlie's injuries, particularly the deep cut to her neck, which they argued would be highly unusual for a self-inflicted wound. They claimed that the injuries were consistent with her story of an intruder attacking her and her children. Additionally, Darlie's supporters have pointed to several issues with the investigation itself. Critics argue that the Rowlett police, inexperienced in handling homicide cases, prematurely zeroed in on Darlie and ignored the possibility of an outside attacker. For example, the bloody sock found away from the home raised questions about whether Darlie could have realistically planted it during the chaotic moments after the murders. In 1997, after a contentious trial, Darlie Routier was convicted of capital murder in Damon's death and sentenced to death by lethal injection. However, she was not tried for Devin's murder. The case was heavily covered by the media, and many were shocked by the outcome. For some, the conviction was a clear sign that justice had been served, while others saw it as a grave miscarriage of justice. Over the years, Darlie's case has continued to attract widespread attention. Her supporters, including her husband Darren and mother Darlie Key, have tirelessly advocated for her innocence, citing flaws in the forensic evidence and mishandling of the investigation. Numerous appeals have been filed on Darlie's behalf, though all have been unsuccessful. The case has also sparked several documentaries, books, and news specials, including a recent docuseries on the ABC show The Last Defense. Each new examination of the case has reignited the debate over whether Darlie Routier is guilty of the horrific crime or an innocent woman wrongly convicted. At the heart of the Darlie Routier case are several key questions that remain unanswered. First and foremost is the question of motive. Why would a loving mother kill her children in such a brutal fashion? Darlie's defenders argue that no compelling reason has ever been offered and that the evidence is far too weak to support a conviction. Another lingering mystery is the nature of Darlie's injuries. While the prosecution argued that her wounds were self-inflicted, forensic experts have debated whether this is consistent with the available evidence. Supporters believe that her injuries are more consistent with an attack by an intruder, though no definitive conclusion has been reached. The discovery of the bloody sock has also left many puzzled. If Darlie were the killer, how could she have run out of the house, planted the sock, and returned without leaving more evidence? This detail has fueled alternative theories that an outside attacker was responsible, though no other suspects have been definitively identified. Despite being on death row for more than 2 decades, Darlie Routier continues to maintain her innocence. In recent years, her legal team has fought for advanced DNA testing on evidence from the crime scene, hoping that new technology may provide a breakthrough in the case. In 2018, a judge approved new testing, but the results have yet to be fully disclosed. For Darlie supporters, this case represents a grave injustice, with an innocent mother wrongly imprisoned. They argue that a combination of public pressure, media bias, and investigative errors led to her conviction. For others, Darlie's guilt seems clear, reinforced by her behavior and the evidence presented at trial. As of today, Darlie Routier remains on death row in Texas, awaiting further legal proceedings and possible DNA results that could either confirm or cast doubt on her conviction. The case continues to fascinate, puzzle, and divide both the public and legal experts.